Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. The last sub-chapter is called The Sunny Side of Death. We started this sub-chapter. He was on the edge of the cliff. Uh, okay, let's continue from here. I was now sitting on the edge of the world, at the southernmost tip of hope, the great gateway to the east. The feeling was exhilarating. I can feel the adrenaline pumping through my body. Being so still, so conscious, never felt so thrilling. I listened to the wind and watched the ocean and look out upon the ends of the earth. And then I laugh with delight, all that it touches being good. Confronting the reality of our own mortality is important because it obliterates all the crappy, fragile, superficial values in life. While most people whittle their days chasing another buck, or a little bit more fame and attention, or a little bit more assurance that they're right or loved, death confronts all of us with a far more painful and important question. What is your legacy? How will the world be different and better when you're gone? What mark will you have made? What influence will you have caused? They say that a butterfly flapping its wings in Africa can cause a hurricane in Florida. Well, what hurricanes will you leave in your wake? As Becker pointed out, this is arguably the only truly important question in our life. Yet we avoid thinking about it. One, because it's hard. Two, because it's scary. Three, because we have no fucking clue what we're doing. And when we avoid this question, we let trivial and hateful values hijack our brains and take control of our desires and ambitions. Without acknowledging the ever present gaze of death, the superficial will appear important and the important will appear superficial. Death is the only thing we can know with any certainty, and as such, it must be the compass by which we orient all of our other values and decisions. It is the correct answer to all of the questions we should ask but never do. The only way to be comfortable with death is to understand and see yourself as something bigger than yourself, to choose values that stretch beyond serving yourself, that are simple and immediate and controllable and tolerant of the chaotic world around you. This is the basic root of all happiness. Okay, this is important. So let's read this again. The only way to be comfortable with death is to understand and see yourself as something bigger than yourself, to choose values that stretch beyond serving yourself, that are simple and immediate and controllable, and tolerant of the chaotic world around you. Oh, okay. This is the basic root of all happiness. Whether you're listening to Aristotle or the psychologists at Harvard or Jesus Christ or the goddamn Beatles, they all say that happiness comes from the same thing, caring about something greater than yourself, believing that you are a contributing component in some much larger entity, that your life is but a mere side process of some great, unintelligible production. Okay, again, that your life is but a mere side process of some great and intelligible production. Okay, this makes me think of Freemasons as well, to be honest. Thank you to the person who sent me a like. Others watching, I encourage you to do the same. Yeah, in Freemasonry, I'm not a member, but I'm very interested in it. They say that you need to also have that belief or acknowledge that you think that there is something bigger than yourself. You can call it God, energy, universe, or whatever. That's what I am told about Freemasonry. Also, a Freemason told me this. Yeah. This feeling is what people go to church for. It's what they fight in wars for. It's what they raise families and save pensions and build bridges and invent cell phones for. These feelings, this fleeting sense of being part of something greater and more unknowable than themselves. Hmm. And entitlement strips this away from us. The gravity of entitlement sucks all attention inward toward ourselves, causing us to feel as though we are at the center of all of the problems in the universe, that we are the one suffering all of the injustices, that we are the one who deserves greatness over all others. As alluring as it is, entitlement isolates us. Our curiosity and excitement for the world turns in upon itself and reflects our own biases and projections onto every person we meet and every event we experience. This feels sexy and enticing and may feel good for a while and sells a lot of tickets, but it's spiritual poison. What's this? Hi, Parker. This is a book entitled The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's it. I'm reading the book for my followers. Okay. It's these dynamics that plague us now. We're so materially well off, yet so psychologically tormented in so many low level and shallow ways. People relinquish all responsibility, demanding that society cater to their feelings and sensibilities. People hold on to arbitrary certainties and try to enforce them on others, often violently, in the name of some made up righteous cause. Yeah. People high on a sense of false superiority fall into inaction and lethargy for fear of trying something worthwhile and failing at it. Yeah. The pampering of the modern mind has resulted in a population that feels deserving of something without earning that something. A population that feels they have a right to something without sacrificing for it. People declare themselves experts, entrepreneurs, inventors, innovators, mavericks, and coaches without any real life experience. And they do this not because they actually think they are greater than everybody else. They do it because they feel that they need to be great to be accepted in a world that broadcasts only the extraordinary. Our culture today confuses great attention and great success, assuming them to be the same thing. Oh, that's interesting. I'll read that again. Our culture today confuses great attention and great success, assuming them to be the same thing, but they are not. You are great already, whether you realize it or not, whether anybody else realizes it or not. And it's not because you launched an iPhone app or finished school a year early or bought yourself a sweet ass boat. These things do not define greatness. You are already great because, in the face of endless confusion and certain death, you continue to choose what to give a fuck about and what not to. This mere fact, this simple optioning for your own values in life, already makes you beautiful, already makes you successful, and already makes you loved. Even if you don't realize it, even if you're sleeping in a gutter and starving. Oh, you too are going to die, and that's because you too were fortunate enough to have lived. You may not feel this, but go stand on a cliff sometime and maybe you will. Bukowski once wrote, "We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus. That alone make us love each other, but it doesn't. We are terrorized and flattened by life's trivialities. We are eaten up by nothing." Wow. Yeah. I'm fine, Herminia. Thank you. How are you? That was beautiful. I will read this Bukowski quote again. It's interesting. We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus. That alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We are terrorized and flattened by life's trivialities. We are eaten up by nothing. Looking back on that night out by that lake, when I watched my friend John's body getting fished out of the lake by paramedics, I remember staring into the black Texan night and watching my ego slowly dissolve into it. John's death taught me much more than I initially realized. Yes, it helped me to seize the day, to take responsibility for my choices, and to pursue my dreams with less shame and inhibition. But these were side effects of a deeper, more primary lesson. And the primary lesson was this: there is nothing to be afraid of, ever. And reminding myself of my own death repeatedly over the years, whether it be through meditation, through reading philosophy, or through doing crazy shit like standing on a cliff in South Africa, is the only thing that has helped me hold this realization front and center in my mind. This acceptance of my death, this understanding of my own fragility, has made everything easier, untangling my addictions, identifying and confronting my own entitlement, accepting responsibility for my own problems, suffering through my fears and uncertainties, accepting my failures and embracing rejections. It has all been made lighter by the thought of my own death. Wow. The more I peer into the darkness, the brighter life gets, the quieter the world becomes, and the less unconscious resistance I feel to, well, anything. Beautiful. Yeah, I don't like fear-based decisions. Honestly, I think they are inferior in quality. They are conservative, and they make you reject many possibilities and opportunities. So myself, I'm applying for asylum here in the United States, and there is, one part of me fears that, it can be rejected. Although mentally, I know that my case is very strong. I have been persecuted for over a decade in the country where I lived, but I'm happy that I have this uh, rational, mental, fact-based entity or operational process, operating process in my mind, which helps me navigate through life, through reality, make decisions, even if my case is theoretically uh, rejected and I'm not granted asylum. Still, I want to give it a try because I don't want to return to my country of origin where I was attacked and persecuted in different forms. So, if had I been driven by fear, I wouldn't have dared to think of asylum. But that would be also a missed opportunity and a life of misery if I am to return back home, and I don't want that. I'm willing to try, and I'm happy I am. Okay, the book is not over yet. One small half a page. I sit there on the cape for a few minutes, taking in everything. When I finally decide to get up, I put my hands behind me and scoot back. Then, slowly, I stand. I check the ground around me, making sure there's no errant rock ready to sabotage me. Having recognized that I am safe, I begin to walk back to reality. 5 feet, 10 feet, my body restoring itself with each step. My feet become lighter. I let life's magnet draw me in. As I step back over some rocks, back to the main path, I look up to see a man staring at me. I stop and make eye contact with him. Um, I saw you sitting on the edge over there, he says. His accent is Australian. The word there rolls out of his mouth awkwardly. He points toward Antarctica. Yeah, the view is gorgeous, isn't it? I'm smiling. He is not. He has a serious look on his face. I brush my hands off on my shorts, my body still buzzing from my surrender. There's an awkward silence. The Aussie stands for a moment, perplexed, still looking at me, clearly thinking of what to say next. After a moment, he carefully pieces the words together. Is everything okay? How are you feeling? I pause for a moment, still smiling. Alive, very alive. His skepticism breaks and reveals a smile in its place. He gives a slight nod and heads down the trail. I stand above, taking in the view, waiting for my friends to arrive on the peak. Mhm. Okay, this is the end of the book. There are just, yeah, there is a little acknowledgement part. Oh, so interesting. There is a sudden sadness in me about the fact that the book is over. But that's life. You know, whatever starts has to end. Birth has an antonym, which is death, you know. Sadhguru says life has no antonym. Life continues all the time, but birth does. Yes, birth. If there is birth, there should be death. Yeah, like two sides of the hand. So yeah, while there is sadness in me, of course, I'm glad I read the book, and I'll read another one for you. But I also acknowledge the fact that there is sadness when that went through my body with the fact that this book is over. Okay, yeah, let's read the acknowledgement part too. This book began as a big, messy thing and required more than just my own hands to chisel something comprehensible out of it. First and foremost, thank you to my brilliant and beautiful wife, Fernanda, who never hesitates to say no to me when I need to hear it most. Not only do you make me a better person, but your unconditional love and constant feedback during the writing process were indispensable. To my parents for putting up with my shit and all these years and continuing to love me anyway. In many ways, I don't feel as though I fully became an adult until I understood many of the concepts in this book. In that sense, it's been a joy to get to know you as an adult these past few years. And to my brother as well. I never doubt the existence of mutual love and respect between us, even if I sometimes get butthurt that you don't text me back. To Philip Kemper and Drew Burney, two big brains that conspire to make my brain appear much larger than it actually is. Your hard work and brilliance continue to floor me. To Michael Covell for being my intellectual stress test, especially when it comes to understanding psychological research, and for always challenging me on my assumptions. To my editor, Luke Dempsey, for mercilessly tightening the screws on my writing and for possibly having an even fouler mouth than I do. To my agent, Molly Glick, for helping me define the vision for the book and pushing it much farther into the world than I ever expected to see it go. To Taylor Pearson, Dan Andrews, and Jody Ettenberg for their support during this process. You three kept me both accountable and sane, which are the only two things every writer needs. And finally, to the millions of people who, for whatever reason, decided to read a potty mouthed asshole from Boston writing about life on his blog. The flood of emails I've received from those of you willing to open up the most intimate corners of your life to me, a complete stranger, both humbles me and inspires me. At this point in my life, I've spent thousands of hours reading and studying these subjects, but you all continue to be my true education. Thank you. And this is the end of the book. Again, I could show you his social media pages links. I'll just switch or rotate, or what is it called? There it is. Mark Manson, he's the author. And Facebook, Instagram, X, and website. Okay, so this is it. I'll pick another book for my future reading sessions, and you guys can tell me what book would you like me to read to you. It can be a book on personal development. It can be a fiction book. I'm thinking of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, to be honest. Can be. Uh, but yeah. hmm The book was interesting. A lot of interesting ideas. I have several, at least I think 6 pages or more that I folded because the ideas were very interesting. I might revisit these ideas later. You know, yeah. So, and it was multi-layered. It was kind of multi-dimensional. This book. Yeah, I dwell into meditative silence, and yeah, that's it. You can meditate with me if you'd like to. You can just follow your breath or acknowledge the emptiness, the silence around you in your mind. Yeah, that's it. Avada Kedavra, as they say in Harry Potter, which is an Aramaic phrase also in Hebrew. It means the word has been accomplished. Yeah, we have finished reading the book. So there is a sense of emptiness as the book is completed. But that's it. That's it. Whenever something comes into your life, including your own life when it comes, it must go. I will die. People I love will die. This earth will get destroyed. The sun will die one day. So death is the opposite of birth. And we will be transformed into something else. However, what conclusion we draw or conclusions we draw from this is totally up to us. Some people will fall into pessimism. Oh, no, everything is useless, worthless. I shouldn't do anything. Yeah. And other people can choose like, okay, it means, well, it's if the end is the same, then what matters is what we have right now. No? And if you choose that, you're like, okay, I have only this much time, and it's up to me what to do with that time. I might as well dance and have fun and experiment and try, because in the end, we are all going to, get into that coffin. Yeah? And that's it. That's it for everyone. Yeah. Sad. Pretty sad. Okay, guys, that's enough for today. Subscribe to my channel and see you next time when we start reading yet another book. This was a little heavy, probably also the death, the topic of death. It's not a light task, but we have to do this. It's like a shock therapy or something. We have to go through this even though we don't want it, because it makes you makes your vision more holistic, you know, and it might help you get rid of some fears and complexes. That's it. Okay. Have a good one. Bye bye.